The scream came first. It tore through Oke Village before the sun had fully risen, sharp and sudden, pulling women from their sleep and men from their mats. Doors flew open. Feet ran across red earth. Everyone rushed toward Mama Sede's hut. Inside, the air was thick with fear and sweat. Then the baby cried, and silence fell. The child lay on a raffia mat, small and perfect, her fists clenched, her voice strong. But it was not her cry that stole the breath from the room. It was her hair. It spilled from her tiny head like liquid sunlight, golden, bright, unreal. It did not stop at her shoulders. It did not stop at her waist. It flowed and flowed until it touched the mat, then swept softly across the floor. A woman gasped and covered her mouth. Another stepped back. This is not normal. The old midwife, whose hands had welcomed hundreds of children into the world, stared in disbelief. She reached out slowly, touching the hair with shaking fingers. It is real, she whispered, as real as flesh and bone. Mama Sade pulled the baby close to her chest, fear and wonder battling in her eyes. Her name is Nora, she said softly. She is my daughter. Outside the hut, whispers spread like fire. Gold hair? From birth? Is she a blessing or a sign? By the time the sun climbed into the sky, all of Oke Village knew. Nora grew, and with each passing year, her hair grew with her. It did not fade, it did not dull. It only became longer, heavier, brighter. By the time she was 10, it reached her knees. By 15, it swept the ground behind her when she walked, leaving soft lines in the dust like secrets written by the sun. Mama said braided it every morning, tying it high to keep it from dragging, but no cloth could hide gold. When Nora fetched water, men paused mid-sentence. When she passed the market, women watched with tight smiles. Children followed her, curious and afraid. She doesn't even talk much, one maiden whispered. That's how they deceive, another replied. Nora heard them. She always did. But she kept her eyes low and her heart quiet. She helped her mother. She greeted elders with respect. She avoided trouble, yet trouble followed her like a shadow. Because beauty that shines without effort makes others feel small. At night, Mama Sade would hold her daughter close. Do not let the world harden you, she would say. Gold attracts eyes, but your heart must remain clean. Nora nodded, though she did not fully understand. She only knew that people looked at her as if she was something to be taken or destroyed. The day everything changed came quietly. A talking drum sounded from the palace hill, its rhythm strong and clear. The village gathered as the chief's messenger stood tall in the square. The prince has come of age, he announced. He will soon choose a wife from among the maidens of the land. A sharp breath passed through the crowd. Eyes turned slowly, surely, toward Nora. She felt it immediately. The shift in the air, what had once been envy, now hardened into something colder. That night, the maidens gathered near the river under the cover of darkness. Faces that smiled during the day twisted with bitterness. If she stands before the prince, what chance do we have? One asked. Another clenched her fist. Men already forget us when she passes. Silence followed. Then a voice, low and steady, broke it. She is not better than us, the voice said. She only shines because we allow her to. A plan began to form. Quiet, careful, cruel. Far away, in her mother's hut, Nora sat braiding her hair, unaware. The golden strands slipped through her fingers, long enough to sweep the ground beside her. Outside, footsteps paused. A whisper floated through the night air, thin as smoke. Gold can be buried. Nora looked up, her heart tightening, for reasons she could not yet explain. The next morning, Nora woke with a strange heaviness in her chest. Nothing had happened. The sky was clear. The village moved as usual. Yet something felt wrong, like the ground beneath Oke Village had shifted quietly in the night. At the stream, the maidens gathered as always. They laughed louder than usual. Their smiles were wide, too wide. Nora, One of them called sweetly, "Come and sit with us." Nora hesitated. She was used to standing apart, washing quickly, keeping her head down. But today their voices sounded warm, friendly. She walked closer. Hands reached for her hair immediately. "Ah, see how long it is," one girl said, lifting the golden strands. "It even sweeps the ground," another laughed. "You are truly special." Nora forced a small smile. Compliments made her uneasy. Praise never lasted long in Oke Village. It always changed shape. As they talked, men passed by the stream. Their eyes followed Nora without shame. One stumbled and almost dropped his bucket. The smiles on the maidens' faces stiffened. That was when Nora understood. The kindness was not real. From that day, the maidens stayed close to her. Too close, they walked with her to the market. They visited her mother's hut. They laughed at her jokes and praised her silence. But when they thought she could not hear, their words cut deep. She pretends to be humble. She enjoys the attention. No girl shines like this without a reason. Nora heard everything. At night, she asked her mother, "Why do people hate what they admire?" Mama said, sighed, "Because admiration reminds them of what they lack." Then the prince arrived, not with noise or pride, but quietly, on horseback, dressed in simple cloth. Still, the whole village shook. Drums sounded, elders bowed, maidens lined the paths, adjusting wrappers and lifting chins. The prince's eyes moved slowly, carefully. They stopped on Nora. She felt it like heat on her skin. She did not smile. She did not pose. She simply bowed her head in respect. Her hair slipped loose, brushing the earth like a golden river. The prince said nothing, but he looked again. That was enough. That night, jealousy became something darker. The maidens gathered by the river again. The moon reflected their faces, young, beautiful, angry. "He saw her," one said bitterly. "He looked twice," another added. Silence stretched. Then a voice spoke, calm and certain. "If she stands before him again, we are finished." A girl clenched her jaw. "What do we do?" The answer came softly. "We remove her." A gasp escaped one maiden. "You mean chase her away?" "No," the voice replied. "Not away." The river flowed quietly beside them, as if listening. "She trusts us," another girl said slowly. "That is our door." No one argued. When jealousy decides to act, reason leaves first. The next afternoon, Nora returned from the farm alone. The sun was low, painting her hair deep gold. A familiar voice called out, gentle and urgent. "Nora, help us!" She turned. Three maidens stood at the forest edge, worry written on their faces. "What is it?" Nora asked. "One of us is hurt," a girl said. "She fell near the old trees, please." Nora hesitated. The forest was quiet, too quiet, but kindness lived easily in her heart. She lifted her hair, tied it quickly, and followed. The trees swallowed them. Step by step, the light faded. Behind her, smiles disappeared. Ahead of her, the ground waited, and deep within the forest, the earth prepared to receive something it could not keep. Forest grew darker with every step. Nora noticed it first in the silence. No birds, no insects, only the soft sound of her feet brushing dry leaves and the faint scrape of something being dragged behind her. Her hair. She reached back and lifted it again, tying it tighter around her shoulder. "How far is she?" Nora asked. "Just ahead," one maiden replied without turning. They walked deeper. The air became heavy. The trees stood closer together, their branches tangled like warning fingers. Nora slowed. "I don't hear anyone," she said. The girls stopped. Slowly, they turned. Their faces were calm, too calm. Before Nora could speak again, hands grabbed her arms from behind. Another hand yanked her hair, pulling her head back sharply. "What are you doing?" she cried, panic rising. "You should have stayed small," one girl said coldly. "You should have hidden your lights," another added. They dragged her forward. The ground opened before her. A pit, deep, dark, freshly dug. Nora screamed. She struggled, kicking and twisting, but there were too many of them. Fingers dug into her skin, nails scratched. Her hair slipped loose, spilling wildly, glowing even in the fading light. Please, she begged, what have I done to you? You exist, one girl answered. They pushed. Nora fell. The impact knocked the air from her chest. Pain shot through her body. Above her, faces leaned over the edge, breathing hard. For a moment, no one moved. Then soil began to fall. Thud, thud. Nora screamed again, shielding her face as dirt covered her clothes, her arms, her hair. Stop, she cried. You will kill me. A maiden hesitated. What if? Do it, another snapped. Do you want to remain nothing? More soil fell. Nora's breath came fast. Her chest burned. Her hand shook as she clawed at the earth. She prayed, not loudly, not with words, but with everything she had left. Above the pit, fear crept into their hearts. The ground shimmered faintly. Do you see that? One whispered. The golden hair, half buried, glowed softly beneath the soil, refusing darkness. Cover it, someone shouted. They shoveled faster, panic replacing pride. When it was done, the pit looked ordinary, silent, still. They stood there, breathing hard. That night, the forest would not sleep. The wind moved strangely. The ground shifted, and beneath the earth, Nora's fingers twitched. Still alive, her hair glowed, and the earth began to loosen. Morning came slowly to Oke Village. The forest, however, did not rest. Beneath the ground, Nora stirred. Her chest burned as she dragged in a shallow breath. Pain shot through her ribs. Dirt filled her mouth. Darkness pressed against her eyes. For a moment, fear tried to claim her completely. Then she felt it. Her hair, warm, heavy, alive. The golden strands glowed faintly, lighting the tight space around her face. Nora coughed, spitting out soil, her fingers digging weakly at the earth. I am not done, she whispered. She pushed. The soil above her shifted. Not far away, an old hunter named Baba Tunde walked through the forest at dawn. He stopped suddenly. The ground moved. He leaned closer, listening. Then he saw it, a faint golden glow pushing through the soil like sunrise trapped on the ground. His heart pounded. Spirits, he whispered. A hand broke through the dirt. Babatun shouted and rushed forward, digging frantically with his bare hands. The soil gave way faster than it should have, as if the earth itself was letting go. Moments later, Nora lay on the forest floor, coughing, trembling, alive. Her hair spilled around her, dirty but shining, sweeping the ground like it always had. My child, Babatunde breathed. Who did this to you? Nora could not answer. Tears streamed down her face as her body shook. By midday, the news spread. She is alive. The girl with gold hair returned from the forest. The earth rejected her burial. People ran toward Babatunde's compound. When they saw Nora sitting quietly, wrapped in cloth, her hair glowing despite the dirt, fear filled their eyes. The maidens watched from a distance, their faces drained of color. She should be dead, one whispered. That was when the drums sounded again. The prince had arrived. He stood in the village square, calm but serious. Elders gathered, villagers whispered, then Nora was brought forward. She walked slowly, supported on both sides, her hair loose, long enough to sweep the red earth before the prince's feet. The crowd fell silent. The prince looked at her, not with desire, with respect. Speak, he said gently. What happened to you? Nora's voice trembled, but she spoke the truth. Every word, every betrayal. The maidens began to cry. Some denied it. Some fell to their knees. Some ran. The prince raised his hand. Enough. His eyes hardened. Jealousy almost took a life, he said, and silence allowed it. The village bowed their heads in shame. That evening, Nora sat alone staring at her hands. She was alive, but changed. The earth had touched her. Betrayal had scarred her heart, yet her hair still shone, still swept the ground, still refused to dim. From a distance, the prince watched her quietly. Gold had been buried. Gold had risen. And tomorrow, a choice would be made that no one expected. The village gathered before sunrise. No drum was beaten. No song was sung. The air was heavy with waiting. Nora stood at the edge of the square, her heart steady, but her hands cold. Her hair was clean now, washed in the river before dawn. It flowed freely down her back, long and shining, sweeping the ground like a living crown. She did not lift it. She did not hide it. For the first time, she let it be. The prince stepped forward. "Bring them," he said. The jealous maidens were led out, eyes swollen from crying, faces stripped of pride. They knelt before the people they once laughed with, before the girl they tried to erase. One by one, they confessed, "We feared her. We envied her. We thought if she died, we would live better." The village gasped. Mothers covered their mouths. Elders shook their heads. Nora listened quietly. No anger rose in her chest, only sadness. The prince turned to her. "Nora," he said, "what do you ask for?" All eyes moved to her. She stepped forward slowly. Her hair brushed the dust, catching the morning light. "I ask for no punishment," she said softly. "What they did will already live with them." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "But," she continued, lifting her chin, "I will not stay where my life is a threat." Silence. The prince nodded. "You will not," he said. Then he did something no one expected. He removed the beaded cord from his wrist, the mark of royal choice, and placed it gently in Nora's hands. "I choose you," he said, "not because of your hair, but because you survived without becoming cruel." The square erupted. Some shouted in joy. Some cried in regret. Some fell to the ground in shame. The maidens bowed their heads. Too late. That day, Nora left Oke Village. Not in chains, not in fear. She walked beside the prince, her steps calm, her hair sweeping the earth one last time as the village watched her go. Mama Sade wept, but they were tears of pride. "My daughter," she whispered, "they tried to bury you." Nora smiled gently. "But I was never meant for the ground." Mothers would tell the story to their daughters. They would speak of the girl born with hair like gold, of jealousy that became cruelty, of a pit that could not hold destiny. Moral lesson. And they would end with this lesson: never envy what you did not create. Never harm what God has favored. And remember, gold does not rot underground, it rises.